Okay, I think I'm live. Hey guys. As per usual, lately starting a little bit earlier just to make sure things are working as they should. We have a few people here. That's great. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, guys. Hey, Kev. Get comfortable here. Thank you for coming. Hey, Danny. Nice to see you. Thank you for coming and spending Saturday with me. I might lower this. Give me a second. Trying to figure out the best angle here so I can text. Hey, Jen. Happy Saturday. Okay, we are filling up. Thank you guys for coming. What time is it? Got 3 minutes to spare. So why don't we take a few minutes and just introduce ourselves here on the chat. It's so nice to have you guys join me on a Saturday night. Would everyone be here if we weren't stuck at home, though, is the question. So today is gonna be fun. All right, already 18 people here. We are an early bunch. Talk about punctual. All right, I'm gonna make sure I'm nice and comfy. I'm not planning on moving for a little while. It's date night. Yes, it is. It's dashing date night. All right. Give me one quick second, guys. I just want to make sure that the lighting and everything is all good. Welcome, welcome. We'll officially start in 2 minutes. We'll just give everyone a chance to hop on, maybe even 2 or 3. Don't want to miss a minute. That's very sweet. Thank you, Ernest. Video date night. Hi, Connie. Welcome, guys. Welcome, welcome. Looking forward to this. Great. Well, I'm glad you're looking forward to it. It is a Q&A. Again, I'll do a bit more of an official welcome and thanking everyone for being here. Open the door. It's a little bit more for me, and I don't want to get too hot. Hi, Stephanie. Welcome, welcome. Give me 1 second, guys. All right. Do you guys have your drinks? I have my wine with me today. Okay, this is a little bit better, and I opened the door, even though it's freezing outside. I don't know if it's as cold for you guys. Okay, we're almost 25 people. Hi, Aleem. Welcome, welcome. Guys, thank you so much for being here with me. Okay, we'll give it just a couple more minutes. So if anybody wants to introduce themselves, also, I hope you have your questions ready. Today is a different, it's a different type of Facebook Live where we're just going to be doing a Q&A. So hi, Meetha, how are you? I really don't have any content prepared. So there's no official tips. Hi, Pierre Luc. Hi, Judy. Welcome, welcome. So there's no official breakdown. I don't have any specific tips or a specific segment that we're doing. So I hope you guys have come prepared with questions. We had people submit their questions beforehand, and it is officially 6 o'clock. So let's officially get started. Guys, my name is Kavita Ajwani. I am the owner of Dashing Date Speed Dating. I'm a dating strategist and matchmaker, and thank you so much for joining me. So today, usually, for those who have seen me here before, usually I have lots of coffee ready to go. Hi, Lisa. Welcome. So I poured quite a large glass of wine, and the reason I did that is because I don't want to be high como. I don't want to be getting up, and I figured this is a decent amount where by the end of this, God knows what kind of advice I'm going to be giving you. Probably some real raw advice is going to be coming out of me once this is getting towards the end. But I have a nice big glass of wine. I hope you guys have a cocktail or a glass of wine, something that we can cheers with. So cheers. Cheers, cheers. to this live dating Q&A. So hi, Greg. Hey, Stephen. Welcome, guys. Again, thank you so much for being here. So for those who have, hi, Tina. For those who have joined me before, usually what we do is we have a, cheers, Melissa. Usually we have a segment that we do, and I really break down a very specific topic. Today I thought we can just get, today I thought we could just get, kind of get a bit of a conversation going, not just with me sharing my tips with you. I think it would be really great to hear what you guys have to say about what each other is going through. I think what's so cool about this experience and the last few lives that I've done, it seems that there's a lot of conversation happening, which is nice. And sometimes when I'm in the middle of talking, I'll see that somebody asked a question and then somebody answered the question without me having to jump in. And it's been really nice to see you guys communicate and interact with each other. So I may even have some questions for you guys just to see like where everybody's head is at. And I don't know, maybe get some female opinions and perspectives on some of the things that men are going through, and get some men weighing in on some of the stuff that the women are going through. So if anybody has a question that they want to kick things off with, hi, Suzanne, hi, JF. So if anyone has a question that they want to kick things off with, feel free to write it in the chat. Otherwise, maybe what we'll do is dive into some of the questions that we got offline. So I think Eric is here with me. Eric is my colleague, and he has the questions ready to go that we had submitted, that people submitted via email. So we can potentially get into those as well. And what I'll do is, okay, we have a question, which is great. Anderson, let me show you guys what it is, and we'll get started. So here we go. You know what? Give me one quick second. I'm just gonna explain one quick thing before I start. In dating, this is just, you know, a little disclaimer. In dating, there's very few times when things are really black and white, where it's like, this is the only way to handle this situation, and this is the only way to go about it. So when that's the case, I can obviously be very, very simple to be like, clear yes or clear no. However, I just want you guys to know that when I'm sitting here and I absolutely have your best interest at heart, I'm going to take what you say, take what you ask, and really give you my best advice. However, because this is not a one-on-one kind of coaching, like when I'm sitting with a client and I really know exactly why they're asking what they're asking, and I know the context behind it, and we can dive a little bit deeper into what the relationship history is so far with someone, or deciphering a text message, whatever it is, it's a little bit easier to answer that way. So in today's scenario, there are some questions where I'm going to do my best to dive into, of course, and I'm going to give the best answer that I can. But again, just remember that it's really important that you really take what I say with a grain of salt at the same time, because your situation may be different from the context that I'm providing my advice in. Okay. Hi, Dieta. So glad that you are here. I know you had submitted a question. We'll get to it for sure. Hi, Alan. Kisses from Brazil. You guys, this is cool. Hi, Blake. How are you? All right. Well, I hope everyone is doing well. Again, thank you for coming. And let's jump into it. So we have my first question here. All right. Let's all read it together. Question: with people not being able to meet, how do you make sure you keep things alive when you may not actually meet up in person for months, or God knows for how long? Things might die down by the time the pandemic is over. So I think at this point, we want to treat our dating experiences as if this is normal right now. I think in general, we need to stop, because it's been so long, because there are so many areas that are unknown. I think we want to just start treating this as the norm for right now. So let's think about it in the way that if we didn't have the option to go back to normal, if we didn't have the because we don't know what's going to happen, how would you handle your same dating situations just if this was reality, let's just pretend this is it for the foreseeable future. How would we start to handle things? What are the different and creative ways that we would go about things? So, Anders, my answer to you in general, and I hope this helps a lot of people, is let's just really assume for now that this is it and think about how we date with this being dating right now. And in terms of how to keep things alive, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people, even when things were, normal, there were a lot of people who couldn't see each other that often. There were a lot of people who maybe lived far apart. There were people who had very, very demanding schedules. So you have to find ways to keep things alive and moving and making progress despite your busy schedule. So try and look at it from that perspective. And one of the best tips I have for that is if you both are on the same page, which is always very important in a relationship, if you both are on the same page and you want to see progress in your relationship, then it's really important that you make sure that you always have some way of staying connected and really prioritizing your relationship. So whether that's a daily check-in in the morning and evening, whether that's watching a show together, at night because you both like the same show, just creating some sort of routine and rituals that keep your relationship moving forward would be my best advice. Be it during the pandemic or otherwise, even when you're just a busy professional or a busy person. All right. What else do we have? Okay, so not that many questions are coming in just yet. I will answer this question that came in. I believe it was anonymous. I can't remember right now, but let's take a look. So this question came in by email. Is it poor etiquette to ask someone what they do for a living or what kind of business they operate? I asked because on a dating app, this guy who liked my profile wrote that he was a business owner, and I think it's a common question. The guy never responded back. I'd be curious what you guys think first. Does anyone have any advice here? I think it's a pretty simple question. And to be honest, I don't know if in this specific scenario, I don't know if one has to do with the other. Do you guys think that this guy didn't reply because the question was, what kind of business do you operate? What do you guys think? Annoying first question. Okay, that's interesting. I would have nothing to hide. Okay. So here's what I would say. I think if you're putting something out in your profile, it should be fair game to ask about that thing. So it would be really weird to say, well, this is a perfect example. So to say that you're a business owner and then not expect to get questions about what you do, I think it's a totally fair question. If someone were to take offense to this question and actually not reply, it sounds like there's something more to it on their side. Maybe they're getting that question because maybe they think it's financially related, or women in the past have always been after, I don't know, his money. Obviously, again, such a gray area, we can only guess. I think it's a totally fair question. The other thing I would say is that if you're finding, like anything else, if you're finding that your initial approach isn't really working, then maybe find something else. My opinion, and it sounds like we have some people sharing the same thoughts, is it's a totally fair question. It's really no big deal, especially doesn't sound like you're prying. He put it out there. I would just not take it personally and move on at that point. But is it a fair question? I think it absolutely is. Blake says, let's just get a few opinions here. The first question, however, shouldn't be, what do you do? I also agree with that. I think there are far more important and interesting things to talk about, and you'll get there. So I wonder if that is maybe why this guy didn't respond. But generally speaking, I agree with Blake, is that that shouldn't be the first question that we always ask someone else. There's so much more to somebody than just their job. And obviously, at some point, you are going to learn, you are going to get there. So if that's the only thing you're curious about, try to not worry about it too much, because of course, eventually this is something that you're going to find out about the person. Deanna says you can ask him if he is okay with you asking. This is a great point. I think it's always such a good idea that when there is maybe a touchy subject, to ask permission. However, what I would say is I don't think this is, I don't think this should be something so sensitive. I think it's actually a pretty fair conversation starter when somebody puts in their bio that they're a business owner. Why not break the ice by asking what their business is? Okay, cool. So this sounds accurate. Greg says, I think it's the same as asking what your career is. Nothing intrusive, especially if posting on your profile. Totally agree. All right. This question is actually from the same person. This is the second part of her question. If a person sends you a like, is that or isn't that a reason to initiate a conversation, considering most people don't respond back, at least in my experience? My first thought is that when somebody initiates some kind of interaction or some kind of some kind of interaction, I think it is fair at that point to, it seems like this person is interested. They're poking you, whatever it is. And yeah, I think that at that point it is fair to initiate a conversation with them. However, if you're not getting a response and you find that you're wasting time, so it's really going to be different for everyone. That little nudge is not enough to get a conversation going. You can make the decision going forward that this is a waste of my time. Why even bother? So I would leave that. I would think if somebody's, initiating something, if their profile is interesting to you, that's another way you can go about it. If you get that nudge and their profile is really interesting to you, maybe you can just start to respond to like 10% of those if you're not getting the response that you want. But generally, my advice in these scenarios is if something's working, continue. If it's not working, especially with online dating, just, move on and don't bother if something isn't bringing you results. Okay. All right, so that is that. Any other questions, guys? What do you have? Should we continue with the questions that came in by email? There was a question here, and I really do want to get into it. Where did it go? 1 second. Oh, hi, Marcel. I didn't see you pop in. So we have this, but I'm going to save it until I've had at least a few more sips of wine. How interested are we in this topic? I'm very interested in this topic. I think it's such a hot topic. I think it's such a valid question today. So give us a thumbs up if we should dive into this. Not right now, but soon, a little bit later. Let me know if you guys are up for diving into this a little bit, and maybe we can get some men weighing in and some women weighing in. But I do have quite a few opinions on this one. Aleem, you said that where did it go? You said that you submitted a question. I asked a question via direct message regarding Instagram handle. Okay, I actually didn't see this. Do you want to repeat Aleem, do you want to actually repeat your question here, and I can share it on the screen? Meanwhile, let's go for, here we go. What if you don't know this person, but you add them on Facebook just trying to strike up a conversation, and how to strike up a conversation online? So my general advice is don't just randomly add people on Facebook. I don't think it's the best way to get to know someone. I would say most people are wary of that, wary of a stranger just adding them as a friend and striking up a conversation. That is not the way I would handle it. The last time I did a live last week, I think it was, this is what we talked about. We talked about the importance of asking permission when it comes to social media, and not just like, it's not, you're really getting such a, depending on how much this person is sharing about their life, adding them on Facebook is really asking to see exactly what their life is about and seeing who their friends are and what they post, and maybe their kids. So it's quite personal to just like, add someone on Facebook without asking their permission and if they don't know you. So that's not a way that I would suggest trying to get to know somebody online. And it makes it very difficult to strike up a conversation because there's nothing there. They don't know you. You don't know them. It's kind of creepy if you start to ask them questions about things on their Facebook profile. So adding someone on Facebook that you don't know is not a suggestion I would have in a way to meet somebody. I think you have online dating for that. Okay, so let's go to this question. If a girl leaves her Instagram handle on her online dating profile, is that an open invitation to message her, or does she only want to show off her pictures and get more followers? Okay, I have to think about that for a second. So I think when it comes to online dating, you first have to match with someone. That's number one. So do not use information that they share, their name, their Instagram handle. Don't use that as an invitation if they have not matched with you. So that would be the number one thing. Online, there's really no point in trying to chat with someone who doesn't want to talk to you. It's like you're prolonging rejection. Focus your time and energy on people who do want to talk to you, on people who are interested in you. That is how you have more positive dating experiences. Don't bothering someone else who hasn't chosen to match with you just because they're sharing that information. So to answer your question, my advice would be to just assume that she wants to show off her pictures or get more followers. That's something, but don't approach it that way if you have not matched with her. And if you have matched, still keep it on the app. And if you want to message her on Instagram, or I notice that your Instagram handle is on your account, do you mind if I follow you? Again, ask for permission. So Kev is asking, what if you send them a message first? My advice, and I haven't approached dating this way, my advice is not to randomly message people on Facebook unless you have mutual friends, unless you actually, but as a complete stranger, this is not an approach I would suggest. I think there are much more efficient ways to meet people online than like randomly finding people on Facebook. I don't think that you're going to get, I don't think that your time investment is going to bring the results that you would be looking for. I would say an absolute no in terms of approaching dating by finding people on Facebook that you find interesting or attractive. Okay. Yes, Blake, it is a big glass of wine because I'm gauging the length of the live by this. So basically, this should last the entire length of the live. So we're doing this for an hour. But you know what, like, it is Saturday night, and this is basically me partying and having a good time. This is really not work for me today. Today I'm enjoying, and I hope you guys are here to enjoy with me. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so Dieta, who is here today in Vancouver, is asking, so Dieta, you submitted this question via email. In an online profile, what's the best way to only attract men who have their life together, just like I do? Solid financial foundation, no baggage, looking for something serious. I did change your question around a little bit, Dieta, just so it fit and didn't take up too much space here. My profile says that I have accomplished a lot and learned from past relationships, and that I'm looking for someone equal. So I really love this question because I think it can help a lot of you guys who are wondering how and what is the best way, cheers, what is the best way to be able to say online like what you're looking for and what you really want without it sounding demanding, without it sounding boring, but also to find someone who's really at the same level you are. So the beauty of this is you have all the you can use, there's so many creative ways to write your dating profile and experiment with your dating profile to see what works and what doesn't work. If you're not attracting the kind of people that you want to be attracting, that means that you need to change your dating profile. Sorry, I'm just distracted 1 second. What's up? You're distracting me a lot. My boyfriend is grabbing wine, and it's all I can see. So okay, so he's watching the live from the other room, and he's now joining us for a glass of wine as well. Okay, so let's talk about profiles for a bit. How do you use your profile to attract the kind of people that you actually want to attract? That's the question I'm going to dive into right now. So for starters, view your dating profile as a tool. Every time you look at this dating profile, you're going to use it as a tool to say, is this written in a way that's going to attract the kind of person that I want to meet? It cannot be demanding, and it cannot be negative. So if you're focused on and I'm getting distracted with the comments. So if you're focused on what you don't want, that stuff cannot go in your profile. So you can't talk about how you don't want someone with baggage. And I know, Dieta, that this is not how you approached it. So I think the way you approached it in your profile is good. But a lot of people make the mistake of writing in their profile what they don't want. So they'll write, I read this profile. It was a little while back now, but this friend of mine sent me his profile, and basically everything had to change. It was a rant. The whole profile was a rant about what he didn't want, and it sucked because he had his act together and he really wanted to meet this like solid girl who also had her shit together, who also was ready to meet someone who had dealt with her past. But his whole profile was about how he was ready to meet someone who also had their stuff together. I think there's a way to market yourself in your profile that will filter out the people who really don't have their stuff together, just by you emphasizing how much you value those aspects and components of your own life. So really focusing it on yourself. Dieta, one of the things that you had written in your profile, I think I'll just put it back here. My profile says that I've accomplished a lot and learned from past relationships, and I'm looking for someone equal. I think that's fair. I wonder if instead of saying I'm looking for someone equal, I wonder if that's another line, that's another opportunity to write even a little bit more about yourself and what you're looking for, where you're not really addressing what you're looking for, but you're speaking about yourself. So for example, one of the questions that we ask in our matchmaking questionnaire to clients is, why do you want to find love now? And it's really nice to hear what people say. Most people who come to us for matchmaking say something like, I have lived my life, I've been in relationships, I've done it all, and I'm finally in this really great, happy place where I'm ready to share my life with someone who is also in a similar position and has similar aspirations as I do. So I think that's a great question to ask yourself, to write down the answer and use that as a guide in your profile, because it's talking about why you're ready for love. And hopefully by answering that question, you can attract someone who is attracted by what you've written about why you want to find love, without having to say that you're looking for someone equal. I hope that answers your question. I did cover this in detail in our online dating profiles 101 Facebook Live. So I cover a lot of this about how your profile should be written, how it should be all about you, and how you really want to use positive language and market yourself in a way that makes you sound really exciting. And emphasize, pay attention to words like, for example, if you're looking to meet someone who, you know, a lot of people will say that they're looking to meet someone who shares a similar lifestyle as them. So talk about your lifestyle in your dating profile so that you filter out people who don't share that type of lifestyle. For example, if you spend your weekends hiking and seeing family and friends, maybe you're not going to attract it. Really go into that and emphasize how that is so valuable to you, so that you're not attracting somebody who maybe likes to really just wind down and sit on the couch on weekends. If you are the type who really loves to just like lie down and watch TV and chill out because your weekends are so difficult, then maybe you don't want to be with someone who's going to get you up at 6 a.m. to go hiking. So then you would talk about that in your profile, how your weekends are for downtime. So just emphasize the things that are most important to you and emphasize them in a way that's really positive and exciting. And then hopefully you are going to attract the people that you want to attract. Again, if it's not working for you, tweak and try different things in your profile until you start to get the quality of until you start to get messages and matches that is at the quality that you're looking for. Okay. I am drinking Sauvignon Blanc. I'm drinking Kim Crawford. I haven't had it in a long, long time. Does anyone else like Kim Crawford's Sauvignon Blanc? It's one of my favorites. Okay, next question. Jennifer Dumoulin. How many people should you be chatting with at once on online dating platforms? I guess another way to this, or to ask this, is how many is too many? So this again is one of those gray areas. If we're asking about you, Jennifer, specifically, I'll answer it in a broader sense. This is really something that you need to figure out for yourself, of course. It's also, it depends on, okay, let me try to start this over. So if I had a coaching client and they asked me the same question, the first thing I would ask them is what have your patterns been, for the last few months? Do you find that it works for you when you're chatting with lots of people at one time? Do you find that when you're chatting with a lot of people at one time, does it distract you? Do you find that it feels, what it comes down to? It comes down to how you feel, right? So number one, there's two questions. Give me 1 second. There was someone asking questions. I just blocked them. And I felt like that was just going to continue in like not the best way. So two things. One, how do you feel when you're dating online? So when you're dating lots of people, how are you feeling? Could you add more people? Are you bored? Do you want to be having more? Could you be having more conversations and enjoying it just as much? That's one question, and we'll come back to it. And two is, what are your relationship goals in general? So are you dating just to date? Do you want to just chat? Are you really serious about meeting someone? And the answer could be like, it could be all. And if I know you, Jen, maybe I think it might be all. Again, it comes down to how is it serving you? Are you enjoying it? Do you feel like you are forcing yourself to carry on these conversations? Do you feel like, does it feel like work, or does it feel fun? And making sure that when you're engaging in these conversations, that you are doing it for the right reasons, that you're not leading anyone else on, paying very close attention to at what point this conversation isn't serving you anymore, and therefore isn't serving the other person anymore either. You don't want to be wasting anyone's time, because again, that's just added clutter. So your dating life shouldn't feel like there's clutter. It should feel clean, and the conversations that you're having, I think, should all be serving you in some way and serving the other person in some way. So when it doesn't feel like that anymore, maybe too many are happening. And if you're not getting the most out of like if you're kind of like on the fence, maybe you do want to have a few more conversations until you figure out how many people you should be interacting with. But ultimately, like as a foundation, my advice would be to, if I had to throw out a number, I would say if you're really enjoying yourself and having fun, maybe 3 to 4 at most would be probably the way I would go about things. But depending on my dating and relationship goals, I would really pay attention to if am I doing this out of boredom, or do I really see this going somewhere? Do I care about learning about this person? Am I really interested? When they message me, am I excited about answering this message? Maybe you can start to ask yourself that once you have a few conversations going, so that you can decide, how many you should actually be carrying on. So hopefully, Jen, that answers that question. All right. Thank you guys for submitting your questions. Let's see, what else do we have? I found when I'm on Facebook dating. Okay, hold on. Oh, Deanna, I'm so glad if that helps. So that is great. Thank you. Okay, so that is answered. Bear with me, guys. We have a big group tonight, almost 50 people. I'm on Tinder. For me, online dating sucks. In this COVID-19 era, are you still offering your matchmaking service? Happy to answer these questions. We're not offering our matchmaking services right now. What we realize is that it's a bit of a tough, because everybody's going through something different. Everybody has their own set of challenges right now. Contacting someone for our clients to arrange a date. We just don't want to do anything that feels insensitive, asking people to pay for something that, dating just might not be on their mind right now. So we have put hold. However, Blake, we are doing a digital speed dating event in Ottawa later this month. I don't remember the exact date, but we are opening up our digital speed dating events to other age groups, including our 20-somethings and our 40 to late 40s. Let's see. Okay, there was one I wanted to answer. Where did it go? Okay, so now there's lots of questions, guys. Barbara, how are you, Barbara? I've deleted my 3 online dating accounts. No quality, dead ends, depressing. So here's what I'm going to say about online dating. I really believe that so many people have this love-hate relationship with online dating. And the reason we go back to it again and again, even when we swear off it, we've been ghosted, where it's not working, and then we get off. So Barbara, what you're experiencing is first thing I'd say, it's very normal. And I think it's actually healthy, because when it starts to feel this way, when it starts to feel depressing, I think it's so important to take a break and take a step back and think like, okay, is this serving me? Am I having a good time? And when you're not, take a break. I would suggest taking a break before you actually start to feel this way, so that you don't get bitter. One of the things I say all the time is like, what we don't want to happen is we don't want to get bitter about dating. And the way you're not going to get bitter is paying really close attention to how you feel, the type of energy that you're bringing to relations, that you're bringing to date, to your video call right now. And when it's starting to feel like that, Barbara, there's nothing wrong with taking a break. But what I will tell you is this. There are people to meet online, and there definitely are strategies and ways for you to have better dating experiences online. And that just might be really tightening the strings on your overall approach to dating and really only bothering to interact with people. Set like a standard for yourself where only if somebody reaches, so you match with someone, they reach out to you, let's just say they reach out to you, and they ask something that's really specific to your profile. So maybe engage and interact less, but really getting rid of this FOMO, fear of missing out mindset, and only interacting with people that really, really have something to say and that are engaging with you in a real way. That might be 2 out of 20 messages that you get, but just interact with those 2 messages. Don't even worry about the rest. So that's the advice I would give about online dating in general is there are people to meet. I know it's frustrating, but there are people there, and just listen to yourself. Only do it when you're feeling excited by it. Engage in online dating conversations when you're excited to do it, when you're in the right mind frame, and when you're not, take a break, and that's totally fine. Kev says, I find when I'm on Facebook dating and when I click interested, no one ever gets back to me. Why is that? This could be for a multitude of reasons. I don't know what your general approach is. So it really depends on how are you how are you approaching this? To be honest, I haven't looked into Facebook dating too much yet, so I don't know exactly how many people here are doing it and exactly the way it works. It's on my to-do list to dive into this and get more familiar. But I guess I'd be curious, before I can answer this any further, I guess I'd be curious as to what your approach is, because absolutely your approach needs to change if nobody's answering. All right, let's just see. Okay, so first I was like worried that no one was going to ask questions. Now I don't know how to go back and find the questions. Let's jump into this one. Actually, let's just see, Jen. Thank you, Kavita. Great point about not wasting anyone's time and not feeling cluttered. I'll also keep goals in mind. I'm so glad that helped. And sometimes it really is about remembering that there's 2 people involved. You're not the only person in this. You do want to be kind. You do want to be a good single. So keeping in mind that somebody else is on the other end of this and being fair, even if it's better for them that you cut things off sooner. If as soon as you know it's not going to go anywhere, it's better that you cut things off sooner rather than wasting your time or their time any further. This is one of the questions that we got via email as well. How do you go from something casual to serious? Okay, I feel like I've been talking like nonstop, so I'm just going to take a little breather, a sip of wine. How are we doing here? All right, we got room. Cheers to anyone who is joining me with their glass of wine or drink as well, or mocktail, tea, coffee, whatever it is. Okay, how do you go from something casual to serious? What a loaded question. So this is what I was talking about when I said this is such a broad question. But how do you go from something casual to serious? So there's so many different ways I can answer this, but one thing to remember, again, is that there are 2 people in this relationship. So number 1 is, just because you have made the decision for yourself, just remember that doesn't mean necessarily that the other person is in the same boat or on the same page as you. Something that really drives me crazy, and it happens more with women than men, is when a woman says to me, guess what? He called me his girlfriend, and she's excited, and that's fine. But my question always is, but hey, did you participate in this decision? Do you want to be his girlfriend? This is a decision 2 people need to make together about taking things to the next step. So the very first thing I'm going to say is, just because you want to take things to the next step, just be aware that this is a decision you've made. And now it's time to figure out if the other person is on the same page as you. This is where that, I guess that, you know, I don't know, whatever it is, but that question comes in where it's like, so where is this going? So the very, very first thing is asking yourself, where is this going for you? Where is this going for you? So often we ask this question and we leave it completely in the other person's hands to decide for us where this relationship is going. So the very first thing is, where do you want this relationship to go? That is the number one question. And two, if you've decided that you really want to take this relationship to the next step, obviously a discussion is in order. So we talked about this on a live, I think the second live that I did, and I love this advice. I was actually interviewing, I was on the live with somebody else, and I love the advice that she gave. And sometimes we can be so nervous about asking this question and about having this like, okay, like how do we take things to the next level? One of the best ways I think to go about this is to be vulnerable about it. And so that you don't feel, so that somebody doesn't feel like they're being ambushed, or that you don't know, if you don't know the best way to approach it. What if you just approach it in a way where you say, listen, we've been talking for a while, and truthfully, this is uncomfortable for me to say. So, hopefully you understand where I'm coming from. I'm just going to say it. I am interested in taking this to the next level. It all comes down to communicating and being comfortable communicating. I would almost wonder if you don't feel comfortable asking this question, what does that say about the relationship and where you're at? But one of my favorite quotes of all time is that, what is it exactly? A person's success can be defined by the number of uncomfortable conversations they are willing to have. So just know that when you've made a decision, this is your love life too. When you've made a decision to do something, to take something to the next level, and you know that it's the right time, that you've given this a fair shot, that it's been long enough, that you really are ready to take that step, just know that no matter what the outcome, having this conversation is absolutely necessary. And the most important thing is the way you approach it, when you approach it, and the tone, the tone that you use to move things over. But I mean, how do you go from casual to serious is really a question for yourself to answer, that you are ready to go from casual to serious. And then it's about talking to your partner, and it always comes down to communication and making sure that you guys are on the same page and having an open and honest conversation about it. Okay, I'm a little behind. Let's just see. We have a few comments, I think, about what I was just talking about. Those kind of where is it going conversations can be awkward, but when they work out, both people feel the same way. It is the sweetest thing. That is so true. Sometimes we're just so afraid, like there are those situations, and those are the best situations, where you want to talk about it, they're hoping you talk about it, and somebody just finally says it out loud, and you find yourselves on the same page. How often have you guys had a conversation where you're just like, oh my God, thank God we finally talked about this. We were crazy not to say something. So something my mom has always said to me is, she says, anything can be said. Anything can be said as long as the timing is right and the tone is right. So just keep those two things in mind. Don't jump into a difficult conversation when you know that your partner or the person that you're dating or seeing has had just like the worst day ever. Pick an opportune time. And again, it just comes down to being present and aware, and really paying attention to what's going on around you, and keeping in mind that you're not the only person in this relationship, that there's two people here, and it's not just about feeding your own needs at any given time just because you're dying to know or you're dying to take the next step. Make sure that you're choosing the right time to do it and approach it in the right way. Barbara, you are referring to what I was saying before, I think, about when you've heard the word girlfriend. You know, it happens so often, guys, that men just choose what it's so old fashioned and traditional that, you know, the same, it's kind of like proposing, and this is a whole other topic, and I may have to like finish my glass of wine before I dive into this, but it's like, it's the fact that the man has to propose. And there's a whole, I'm not going to dive into, but it's kind of similar where it's like, how many women are ready to get married just because the man, it's almost like the man chooses, now is the time for us to get married. So anyways, that's a whole other thing. I'm not gonna get into that today. But yeah, I mean, ladies that are here, just think about that a little bit more. And there are men who deal with this too, is just like going along with whatever the relationship is deciding for you, going along with, well, we've been dating for X amount of time, so now we should take the next step. He called me his girlfriend, so now I'm his girlfriend. These are decisions that you need to make for yourself and to know, so that you don't end up in that place of like, how did I end up here? You don't be in that position. Make decisions for yourself in your dating life. Okay, this is a good one. What should you write in your profile to make a woman interested in you? Ladies, weigh in. I would love to hear what women have to say about this. What should you write in your profile to make a woman interested in you? So, girls, I would love to hear what you have to say. If there's anything that you tend to, if there's anything that really attracts you to somebody's profile more than others, I would love to hear what the girls have to say. First thing I'm going to say is your photos are key. You really need to, you want to look like the kind of guy that women want to be around. You want to look friendly and approachable and kind and interesting. So when you look through your photos or get a second opinion from friends, girlfriends, ideally an objective opinion, how do I come across first and foremost in my photos? Connie says something that makes me laugh. Huge, huge, huge for girls. So when you're reading through your profile, if you can get someone to smile, if you can be just kind of like light and friendly and a little bit quirky and really stay true to yourself. It's not about putting something on there that just works because it works. It's really about talking about yourself and saying something that's true about you that's going to make your profile stand out. But again, I'm going to say, going back to my main tips is going to be, it should be light, it should be positive, it should be friendly, ideally funny. Let me just see these. Interests, values, passions, spell correctly. So that's actually a good one. I would like to ask women to lighten up on the punctuation and spelling a little bit, but I agree that in a profile, something that you have had the time to review and proofread before it goes up, yeah, it should be well written, and a well like divided up profile is appealing to read as well. Starting with something that really pulls the reader in, something that really makes them want to read more is key. So think about the first line of your online dating profile. Is it interesting enough for somebody to even bother to continue reading? And that's why I always give my number one tip is to say something current. So that way, so somebody knows that this has been recently written or it's very fresh. People are definitely drawn into that, man or woman. Don't leave your profile. Yeah, so definitely don't leave your profile blank. I mean, your profile is, again, you have to view it as a tool, something that's really going to help you meet someone. Don't be afraid of your profile. Use it to your advantage. It can be anything you want. It's a blank canvas. Enjoy, play with it, have fun with it, try different things. Write 3-4 profiles and flip through them and see what works. I really think that we need to start viewing our online dating profiles in a different way. People find it's like, oh no, this like daunting task. Now I have to write one of these again. And again, we write it and we don't bother revisiting it. It is a tool for you guys to try different things with. I've on a Sunday, try writing. On Sundays, I binge watch Netflix. On Sundays, I meal prep for the week. On Sundays, I write something that's like about today, what's happening today, and see if you start to get more replies coming in. I thought that was the case. Jen, recent photos, no sunglasses on. That's a big one. We really want to be making eye contact with the camera. Unless you have a nice photo, obviously looking to the side, but your main profile image should be making eye contact with the camera and not wearing sunglasses. You really want to portray what you look like today. This is a great point. Thank you for pointing this out, Nitha. Like, absolutely ask your friends. There's kind of like a sweet spot with who you want to ask. You don't want to ask maybe you don't want to ask a couple that's been married for 20 years who they've never dated online. Maybe that's not your ideal audience, but yeah, like definitely ask friends. Be like, what do you think? Should I change something? Does this sound appealing? And this, you can't necessarily do this, all the time, but you can sometimes, guys, ask the person that that stopped being interested in you, that matched with you, but then disappeared. If you find the right way to ask, be like, listen, I completely appreciate that, you're not interested and I understand. I wish you the best of luck. But I would actually love to know if there was anything specific that I said or did that, I shouldn't be doing. I would be getting this advice from people if I were online dating today. Okay, so we have a lot of tips for you. So okay, the question was what to write in a profile. Here we go. What to write in a profile. So we got lots of tips. Let's see. What you're passionate about, hobbies, something that makes me laugh, being yourself and being honest, interests and activities, especially outside your work, values, humor, being positive. I also recommend using full sentences to tell your story. Interests, values, passions, spell correctly. So the kind of ongoing theme here, the consistent theme that we're getting from women is they really want to know what you're passionate about, what your values are, and how you're spending your time. Sounds like that you really want to cover these components. And if you're able to be funny while you're sharing, these three main things, all the better. That's what it sounds like. Care about what you're writing, spell correctly, break up your sentences properly or your paragraphs. Here we have another one. Be honest, let your personality shine through. If you're funny, let that come out a bit. Talk about what's important to you so that you can have common interests. What I like about what you wrote, Teresa, is that if you're funny, let that come through a bit. And that's a great point, because if you're not funny, like, don't try so hard it's just not going to come through maybe the way that you want it to. If, let's say, you're not, maybe you're so funny in person, but on paper, it just doesn't come through. I would really emphasize, or I would really focus on your strengths in how you write, and not, funny is great, of course. If you can get some advice on how to like tweak something to make it funny, that's also great. But don't force something, because then it's not going to come through the way that you want it to. A well-written description that gives me a bit of insight into how you approach life. All right. What else do we have? I have to go now. Thank you, Kavita. How often? Barbara, thank you so much for joining. We are already at the hour mark, guys. That flew by. Doing well. Barbara, thank you for coming. We've been doing them every Saturday. There's lots in our Facebook video library now that you can go back and watch. We have been doing them every Saturday. I'm not yet 100% sure how long that's going to continue, but we will always send out a email notification. And I invite you to follow our Facebook page to get these notifications as well. But we do always send out an email announcing when these will take place. Thank you so much for joining. Unfortunately, profile is secondary. Pictures come first in most cases. If you unfortunately are not photogenic, you're starting behind the crowd. So, hi, Robert. How are you? The first thing I would say about this is you have to, again, flip your mindset. I would say that unfortunately, profile is not secondary. Maybe fortunately, profile is secondary. They really do go hand in hand, but 100%, there's no point in like arguing what works and what doesn't work. I've talked about this a few times lately, is that we need to just be thankful that online dating exists. Like, come on, guys. Like, I don't know if there's anyone here who isn't currently online dating, but like, we just need to be so grateful that these platforms exist. How many people are on these platforms? And we really need to flip that mindset of like, online dating, it sucks, it's terrible. Like, no, there are so many people there that you would not have the chance to otherwise meet. And there are people out there. We all know people who have met somebody online. It does work. It can be frustrating, but anything gets frustrating after a while. And why online dating exists is because meeting people organically started to get frustrating. So this is a great option for you. And the more that you see it as, again, a tool and a landscape to have fun within and play within and just have a little bit of fun with and get to know people and not take it so seriously, not take everything to heart so much, not take everything so personally, and really just see it for what it is. You're going to start to enjoy it more and to get better results from it. So what I would say, what Robert's saying is it's correct. Your profile is secondary. Pictures are number one. But I don't think you have to be photogenic to have great pictures. I think anybody can get great pictures. I'll share a little tip with you guys right now. I've been seeing a lot of virtual photo shoots happening. So I saw a couple happening on my Instagram. If anyone's interested, you can always email me and I'll look into them. But I'm just gonna give me 1 second. Okay, I just blocked someone else. This is interesting. It's weird, like seeing people here, like writing like odd things. But anyways, okay, so I've been seeing, so you can actually get right now, and like I said, you can message me. I'll go on my Instagram and find it. You can have a photo shoot taken right now at home with somebody taking pictures of you through their computer. So it's like a virtual session. So a little while ago, I was just saying how for anybody who really needs to completely update their online dating profile pictures, it's difficult because how are you going to go out and get new pictures taken? But yes, people are doing virtual photo shoots right now, probably cheaper than I guess having to meet in person and making it a whole big thing. But you need to put effort into your photos and working with the right person, having a friend help you out or hiring a professional and really making sure that you're getting proper lifestyle shots, nothing that seems overly professional, no headshots, no, like super professional photos. You don't want any of that. You want your online dating profile pictures to look natural and fun and really represent hopefully your life and who you are. So they should be very natural. And you can get photos taken today. But yeah, you may need to have new photos taken. And it's definitely an investment because people will look at your photos first. Give me 1 second, sorry. Okay, so let's do another half an hour max. Let you guys get back to your Saturday night. Excuse me. All right, we have Jen. I recently tuned into one of your other Facebook Lives where you talked about staying current. I updated my profile to include what I was doing while in quarantine and received many messages about it shortly after. It's a great tip. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Jen. Hopefully you guys can, here's a real life example of something that I shared and that's working. So that's great. Really important to keep things current. Talking about what's happening right now makes so much sense. It's such a great icebreaker for sure, but it's really something that you can keep up anyways, talking about things that are happening locally in your city, things that are happening in the world. Like you can really attract more people to your profile by mentioning something that everybody can relate to. On that note, this is a great question. This is one of the questions that we got via email from Michael in Ontario. How will dating change moving forward in this pandemic, especially when we consider the mental health and well-being of others? This could hurt the concept of dating for those with anxiety, trust issues already. Okay, big question. And I wish I had the perfect answer, but this is what I'll say. Always, there are two lenses we have the choice to look through for anything. I think that there is a huge opportunity for singles and for the dating world in general because of what's happened right now. It's been so sad, guys, that over the last little while, it's just been so uncomfortable to approach people in person that, to tap someone on the shoulder today is like a serious, like invasion of privacy, that people are so skeptical about meeting someone or having someone approach them or start a conversation. I think that this is an opportunity to really change how we interact with each other when we're back out there. It's been so long since we've been able to interact, in person, that maybe we will. This is for us to decide. Maybe we'll actually be able to use this as an opportunity to start more conversations. Fine, maybe don't touch somebody, but when things are just kind of getting back into, and I'm stopping saying back to normal because there's not going to be a back to normal. When we are starting to be out and about more, hopefully we will have missed human interaction. And maybe there's an opportunity for us to capitalize on I'm looking this way because my window is this way. But hopefully there's an opportunity to capitalize on connecting with each other in a real way again. Maybe we're not going to be so on autopilot the same way that we used to be. So what I would say, and what I hope you guys do, and this is actually something that I wanted to talk about on a future live in the next few weeks, was how can we use this to our advantage to change the landscape that it wasn't working before. Communicating in person and approaching people in person wasn't working anyways. So I would say that we're not going to go, I don't think it's going to get worse. I think it can actually get better. Going back to this question, for people who are going to have real trust issues and anxiety, that's going to be the reality. That was already the reality. So how can you, as somebody who's missed interacting, maybe there's a way to actually change it, and using, the last thing that we just talked about, using the fact that we're out and about again and interacting in person, using that as a conversation starter to start meeting people in person again and organically. So that's what I would say about that. I would say let's really try to view it as a positive thing, because it is a positive thing to be able to be going back out into the world and connecting with each other again. So I would really think about that and use that to your advantage, because it wasn't working before, and now we have a chance to actually change that landscape. All right. How's everyone feeling? How is everyone doing? This is a great point. I feel with the pandemic right now, it makes more people bring out their conversation skills. Yeah, we have no choice but to be connecting in a real way. Hi, O'Dane, I think it is. I want to guess. Anyways, that's fine. Hi, O'Dane. Welcome. Welcome to anyone who's joined a little bit later. Janine, Larissa, welcome, guys. Yeah, so this is a great point. Guys, we really need to be thinking about all of this in a positive way. You know, we are forming deeper connections right now. We're forcing ourselves to really like pay attention to what someone has to say. So I'm glad that you brought this point up, Aleem. Thank you, Blake, for joining. That's so sweet. I really appreciate it. Always nice to see you. Enjoy the rest of your evening. All right, let's see this. How to write in an appropriate way that you value good sexual life. I'm afraid that it will attract guys who just want to have fun. My opinion would be that this is if you're looking for something, if you're looking for a long-term serious relationship, I'm talking about how you feel about intimacy and sexuality is probably, I don't think your online dating profile is the place for that if you are looking for a long-term serious relationship. That would be my advice. I think that this is something that you would want to figure out a way to learn after you've actually started a conversation. So I would focus on your other values and other things that are important to you first to start to attract the right people into your life. And then either way, you have to start filtering from that point on. So maybe developing a few questions for yourself that are not too forward. Again, this is something that you would experiment with, but I would use this as your next level of once you're actually in a conversation with someone. Otherwise, I think it might start to attract too many of the wrong people, as you pointed out yourself. Okay, I'm doing some blocking here today. Okay, I saw another question pop up from our from the people that submitted online. So I have a few questions coming in like this. What are the best dating sites for 55 plus, looking for a serious relationship? Janine, love your profile picture. And then Kev, what is the best dating sites for a 27-year-old? So I'm going to be so honest, guys. I talk a lot about online dating profiles, communication strategy. I don't spend as much time diving into actual online dating sites and what would be best suited for you. There's a lot of sites that like pop up, disappear. So I really think that it's best that this is easy enough to get an answer on Google, search it, check on Reddit what people are saying. And then it's just a matter of experimenting. I do suggest trying out one or two sites. And then figuring out where you're getting more matches, where you are finding people that are actually like in your demographic, but it takes a little bit of time and experimenting. So I don't have the best answer for you because it's just not something that I do enough research on a regular basis. However, if you go on our blog, dashingdate.com/blog, it's a little bit older, probably about 2 years old, but we did do, actually, I think, JF, you did it, who's watching here today. We did do a deep dive into, I think, 8 different online dating sites. And we broke everything down, the demographic that it's best for, if it's a paid subscription, if it's not. So you can go on our website and find, it's a little bit older, so you would have to scroll through or go back a few pages on our blog. But we did do something like that, but I do think it'd be easy enough for you to find if you look on something like Reddit, on just on Google in general, to find conversation threads that are talking about this, and just make sure that you're looking up things that are recent, ideally from late 2019 or 2020. Okay, guys, what time is it? We're at an hour 13. Let's see. Let's see. If you want to take it further with someone you are interested in, I found switching to WhatsApp to be able to share what you're doing during Corona phase helpful to get to know each other a little more. Would you agree, or any concerns? I think this is great. So I really, really think that number one goal when it comes to engaging with someone online, on an online dating app, your number one goal, like you're like taking your relationship to the next level in the most simple way possible, is to move off of the app. You really want to get off the app as soon as possible. I do not recommend getting to know each other on the app. Only as like statistically, your conversations start to just die down really quickly. Protect yourself. Use your WhatsApp. You can easily block someone. You have control over what information you share on your WhatsApp, the photo that you use, how much information they have access to. So yeah, I highly recommend getting to know someone, connecting, and when the moment is right, finding that opportune time to say, you know what, why don't we continue this conversation on WhatsApp? Here's my number. If you'd like, I'd be happy to message you. I think that's a great idea. This was one of the questions that we got via email. So it was an anonymous question. So I hope whoever is here is watching. I really had to think about the best way to answer this question. I still have to think about the best way to answer this question. Again, this comes back to, it would be so great to have a little bit more context as to like if this was a specific, text message thread or conversation that you were engaging in. What do you do when a guy starts talking about sex in an uncomfortable way too soon? Anyone have any advice here? I do have something. Oh, okay, Nikita. Nikita, I guess this is your question. Well, thank you for being here and sharing, and I'm so glad that we're answering this question for you. Okay, so here's what I would say. I can understand that this is a really frustrating thing for women, because you sometimes just want to like really be able to get to know somebody, and then as soon as the topic of sex comes up, it really changes the dynamic of the conversation in a way that, like, why do we have to go there so soon? I think the okay, so Jennifer Doyle says thank you. On to the next. So there's a few ways to handle this. So one, in a scenario where you are really looking for a serious relationship, and if you've just started a conversation with someone and they brought up sex right away, then I agree with Jennifer, who just says thank you next. Maybe it's you don't need to engage with men who clearly just want to talk about sex, or you can really pick up that they're talking about it because that is their like ultimate goal. So you don't have to engage in those conversations. That's what I would say first and foremost. But now I've lost the question. Here we go. So however, if you are in a conversation and you guys are actually like, there's, a good back and forth going, this is somebody that you like and that you want to continue a conversation with, and you're not getting creepy vibes, but you just want to not talk, you just don't want sex to come up that early. I would just have to say that, I don't know, Nikita, if you were watching when I first started, but one of the earlier tips that I was sharing was that choosing the right time to suggest that, can we shelve the sex talk for a little while we get to know each other? If that is not well received, maybe this is not the right person for you. But again, it's saying it in a way that doesn't feel like an attack. So not making the guy feel like stupid about it. Maybe it was a harmless comment and he really didn't mean anything by it. So not making it feel like an attack. So really maybe you can say it at first, especially in a playful way, and hopefully they get the hint right away. If they continue, then they continue, and that's another conversation to be had. The way I would approach this is, let's use the scenario that I'm chatting with someone, things are going well, and they start bringing up, they make like a sexual joke or a sexual reference. I would probably give them the benefit of the doubt, let it slide once, maybe twice. And then when it really comes time to talk about it, I would approach it in a really honest, polite way. And I might say something like, I would maybe start with some sort of like flattery. So I might say something like, You know what, Brian? I just want to let you know that I'm really enjoying chatting with you and getting to know someone and getting to know you. To be honest, after all of the, having met online dating, this really is a breath of fresh air. I hope you don't feel uncomfortable with me saying this. I feel a little bit uncomfortable saying this right now, but hopefully you get where I'm coming from. Do you think it would be cool if we shelve, the sex talk for a little while until we've gotten to know each other a little bit better? That's how I would approach it. You can't do much else but be honest and get more comfortable communicating. And the more the more you allow yourself to have these slightly uncomfortable conversations, the better you are going to get at navigating this kind of stuff yourself. So just don't be afraid. Go for it. Just make sure that you're approaching it in the right way. And that is one of the ways that I would approach it. So hopefully that helps. We have some extra advice here. Tell them you're looking for a serious relationship and you'd rather get to know them as a person first. That's a great point, when the time is right. So there is a fine line between putting it out there that you're looking for a serious relationship. There's definitely a way to make it clear that you are looking for something serious. But ultimately, again, I think there's a balance between saying something like, I'm looking for a serious relationship, and still letting someone know that you're very well aware that this serious relationship may or may not be with them, in that you're really just here to enjoy this for what it is, that you want to get to the next step, whatever that is. So there is like a balance between, personally, I would approach it the way that I just said, which really lends itself to right now. I'm enjoying getting to know you right now. And hopefully this person already knows that you're looking for a serious relationship, because that was already, this is one of the reasons that you're connecting in the first place. That would be an ideal scenario and my hope for you. Jen says, I think that the question depends on how you're feeling about the person. Sometimes I unmatch with them. Sometimes I try to steer the conversation back to a place. So I agree with Jen. I think the first one or two times, depending on where I'm at in this relationship, the first one or two times I might let it slide. Laugh it off and do exactly what Jen's saying here, is steer the conversation back to a place that you are comfortable in. And hopefully they get the hint without you having to spell it out too clearly. Stefan, hi, how are you? When switching from a dating app to texting, how often is too often to be texting? I usually do daily check-ins, but find that the other person drops off shortly after. Am I messaging too much? So this is something that you definitely need to experiment with. It will absolutely vary from person to person. Some girls are going to love that they're getting daily check-ins, and some may find it clingy or not. So it's really going to be about paying close attention to the response you get. One of the things that I would pay close attention to, and it's not the ultimate answer, but how quickly is this person responding to you? If you're doing daily check-ins and every time you check in, they're responding to you at the end of the day, maybe that's a clue that, they're maybe a little bit less communication at that point is key. If they're responding instantly and their response is happy and positive, great. Then you know that with that person, maybe that's something that they really are enjoying. If you are noticing that people are dropping off shortly after, I think that you are answering your own question in that potentially maybe you are messaging too much. Take a step back and try something a little bit different. As much as I hate to say it, and there's such a fine balance with all of this stuff, but being kind of unavailable in the early days, I hate saying it, guys, but being kind of unavailable in the early days where you really seem busy, where you don't, where you don't have all the time in the world to give this person, that little bit of mystery, keeping people on their toes, getting them to feel those butterflies in their stomach, all of that works when it comes to dating. So to be maybe a little bit too predictable early on, maybe that doesn't work with the person, especially when it's very, very, very new. So Stefan, my best advice would be to pay really close attention to who the person is. And while you're trying to develop that, develop the way that you communicate, just paying very close attention to how that is being received and what kind of response you're getting, and then tailor your approach accordingly. Okay. Okay, let's see. Jennifer says, personally, I find having phone conversations, FaceTime chats are the best ways to get to know someone. 100%, Jennifer, I think it's such a good point. I agree with you. Like, you know what? If you guys want to know sooner than later, if you are in that position where you're just frustrated with online dating, or you're bothered with the fact that you're spending so much time entertaining these certain people and then things are not going anywhere, stop having these long ass conversations online just by text. You need to get on the phone or on FaceTime or on some sort of video call soon, because you're going to know really fast if this is worth engaging in, if this is worth developing, if this is worth investing your time into. We know right away. Even just voice, we can see if there's chemistry with someone. I always say, like, if it's like pulling teeth, talking to someone on the phone, it's probably not gonna be much better on a video call or in person. So your goal with online dating should be to get on the phone, get on video chat, ideally as soon as possible, without pressuring someone, without, being like obnoxious about it. That's not what I'm saying. You can watch you can watch the live that we did on online dating strategy and communication. And this is what I talk about. But your goal is to connect with someone so that like, do it for yourself, like, so that if this is worth investing your time into. Do not let your conversations drag on till the end of time on these dating apps via text. You need to know, you need to hear the person, you need to see how they speak, how they interact, if there's chemistry, if they make you laugh, if you're smiling on the other end of the phone, if you're smiling on camera, are they easy to talk to, do you have anything in common? All of this happens in person. All of this happens on like chatting. It does not happen on text. Do that first, then you can text. That's why I love speed dating so much, because it's really reverse engineering the whole online dating process, where first you see if there is some sort of in-person connection, then you can text. At least you know that you had a connection and you're curious about getting to know this person. You know what they look like. They made you laugh in real life. And when I say this is in real life for us right now, like, this is it. This is what it is. So use this to your advantage. So thank you for sharing that, Jennifer. Okay, guys, I think we've covered everything. We're just hitting that hour and a half mark. I'm about here. I have a question here from Meetha. If it's not too personal, how did you meet your own boyfriend? I always like to ask people who they've had success, who've had success and met someone. So I actually, it's not embarrassing unless you know where we met, but there was this, we actually met at a bar almost 8 years ago, or 8 years ago. Now I'm losing track. Anyways, it was many years ago. So his name is Brad, and Brad and I went to high school together. So we have many mutual friends. We had seen each other, 10 years. We'd seen each other, at different parties and blah, blah, blah over a 10-year period. And then, one day just came where we ran into each other at a bar. And the embarrassing part is the bar is called Firm, and it's in the West Island in Montreal. Don't judge me, for anybody that knows it. But totally random. It's not a place that I would normally hang out at. We ran into each other at this bar one day. And we really, to be honest, we really took our time getting to know each other. There was so many reasons that we had to go about it this way. I was coming out of a difficult relationship, out of a difficult period for myself, which allowed me personally to really slow down, to really think about, do I want to be in a relationship? And fortunately, I was dating a man that was so respectful of my space, And we really formed a friendship. I'll tell you true, we really formed a friendship first and foremost. There was an underlying strong friendship that developed. We were never friends. Like, we knew each other in high school, but we were never friends. But we really did form a friendship first. Of course, there was a romantic connection, and there was always that chemistry was always there. But it was really nice to just have the space and not feel rushed into getting into something. And really, we really appreciated the time that we spent together, the time that we had together. And we spent, to be honest, probably almost a year really getting to know each other. And we spent all of our time together. And we became like best friends. And our romantic relationship developed from there. And now it's been like 8 years, and he's in the other room having a virtual glass of wine with me right now. To be honest, though, one of the reasons why I started Dashing Date 2 is like I realized how hard it is to meet someone today. And I really did want to, not everyone is going to run into people that they went to high school with. And it's tough to meet someone that way. And, I'm very lucky and I'm very fortunate, and I'm very happy that happened. But it really brought to, light for me how hard it is to meet someone, and how random how random that was, and how unlikely it was that things would have happened this way. So, it was really important for me to start this business and give singles today another outlet and another way of meeting someone, because it is tough, and we really do need to be putting ourselves out there and trying different things and different avenues to get to know new people. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, when you go on a pandemic date, like both of you staying in your own car and talking while eating takeout. First, this is making me smile because it's so cute. Okay. And talking while eating takeout, you each got followed by date 2 of a bike ride, keeping your distance. And then the person doesn't want a third date because of no romantic connection. How should you take that, since you can't even shake hands right now? I think, Stephen, I think you just have to take it as that's okay. That's okay. You met someone, you went on a couple of dates, you explored, and they didn't feel it. That's fine. A romantic connection doesn't necessarily come from only, having to, you will be able to, from having to touch each other or kiss. Like, that's not the only way to form a romantic connection. I think you can trust that this woman just didn't feel it. And I think you need to just be totally okay. I think you can be totally okay with it. Not just, to me, just not interested, which is fine. But the excuse, that's the other thing. At the end of the day, like, who really cares why someone is ending things with us? There's so many jokes about this. It's not you, it's me. And ultimately, like, who cares why? It's the bottom line is that they are saying it's not for them. And the good news is that they are saying, Connor, I'll be with you in 1 second. Welcome. We are coming to an end, though. But the good news is that this person is not stringing you along, that you've had, you've had a connection with somebody, that you've dated. Now you've dated someone, you've experimented with, pandemic-like dates, and they were honest with you that they've decided not to continue forward. Whatever their excuse is, they've decided it's not for them. Like, what would you have rather that they said that's going to help you feel better about it? I would really try your best not to take it personally. And again, believe that this was not the person for you, and really just be happy that you didn't waste any more time for ultimately the same outcome to happen. So that's what I would say. We have no choice, guys, but to just believe that when something doesn't work out, especially so early on, that, it's time saved, and that you have now the energy and time to focus on somebody else and take someone else out on a fun and cute pandemic date, because it sounds like you have that really going for you. And I think it's really cool that you got to experiment with that. Almost done. How are we feeling? So to answer Connor's question, looks like you've just joined. We're at the end of our Facebook Live pretty much, but we've been we're doing a dating Q&A, so people have been asking their questions, and I've been doing my best to answer them, and also getting the help from our audience here to seeing what they think and having them weigh in. Thank you, Ernest. That is my pleasure to share. I don't always talk too much about my own relationships and dating experiences, but I have a wonderful boyfriend. I was happy to share that story. And to be honest, that is really one of the reasons why I do what I do. Because when I met my boyfriend, could have easily been in a state of mind where, you know what it is? I'm such a believer right now in how much we all deserve love and we all deserve happiness. And after some of the things that I've been through, how I was able to find what I have now just made me such a believer in that anyone can find that for themselves in whatever way makes sense for themselves, regardless of your age and your situation. So the main thing is to keep believing and know that it can happen for you, and trying your best to stay positive, and to take breaks when you're not feeling positive, and to just really feel through when you're not feeling your best when it comes to dating, and to not think that you have to always be dating, and to, if you need to take some time off, take some time off. One of the biggest things in my personal relationship was not feeling like I had like a race against the clock. Being able to really take my time and enter into a relationship because I wanted to be in that relationship, and because it made sense to move our relationship to the next level and the next level, because it made sense for us as a couple, and not because of how much time we had been together or how much time had passed. That was the most important thing for me to get to where I am today. And I still am in that situation where I'm trying not to race against the clock, and not to let society and friends and family rush us into things that are just not right for us right now. So that's the best advice I can give you guys, is not feel like, to really appreciate your dating experiences for what they are, to really appreciate people that you're meeting for who they are, and not feel like that you're racing against anyone, against time, because that's just not going to serve you. And eventually, when things are working out the way they should, you're going to realize that, time was not the thing that wasn't on your side. Time is on your side. All right, let's see. All right, so I'm not going to read this out loud. Tina, thank you so much for sharing this. I'm really appreciating the positive and kind feedback. And Tina, absolutely, I mean, come on, hearing your voice on video, what I would suggest in that scenario is get comfortable hearing yourself on video. I mean, we have to love ourselves. This is who you are, Tina. And, you have to love yourself first if you want someone else to love your voice. There are going to be so many people that love your voice maybe before you do, but I think you're just going to get to where you want to be that much faster if you love it first. If you are uncomfortable getting on video, that's going to come across, and it's going to show. And I would really suggest maybe there's something that you could do now to practice getting comfortable with your voice on video. That's what I would suggest first. But I can almost guarantee you that you are maybe the only person who actually thinks that. So that's what I would say. And I hope you. I'm so glad that this encouraged you to jump onto a video date. I said what I want also in buys. Okay, so thank you guys. Do you think it's okay to break up over Messenger video call? Shona Woods. Shona, that is a scary profile picture. That is interesting. Interesting photo. Shona Woods. Do you think it's okay to break up? it 100% depends on where you're at in your relationship. So if you've met and you've dated in person, I would not suggest breaking up over video call. If all you've done is video call, then it's absolutely fine to end your relationship that way as well. We have no choice really right now but to end things on video if we're not meeting in person. How you break up with someone entirely depends on what kind of relationship that you've had with them so far. I did a live last week on how to be a good single, and I covered the topic about ending your relationships in a way that really honors the time that you spent with one another. Okay, guys, let's see. I'm frustrated with something casual. I don't like doing casual, but I like the person. How do I get serious? So I think we're going to end with this one. An hour and 40 minutes. And hour and 40 minutes. Wow, this lasted a long time. So I really hope the answer I'm going to give this helps a lot of people right now. I'm seeing more questions. Guys, I was scared we weren't going to get any questions. And now I think we might have to do a round 2 Q&A. But I'm going to answer this one because I think it's really important. It's so important to know what your long-term goal is. It's so important to know that, what kind of relationship you want, and that you do want to be in a serious relationship, that you're looking for something monogamous that's going to end in marriage and children, whatever your goals are. But every person you speak to you cannot look at them through the lens that this person has to be your future husband or your future wife or even your future boyfriend or girlfriend. It puts a lot of pressure on your relationship with this person. It puts so much pressure on just you guys getting to know each other that you can't even appreciate what this is. Like I feel like when you're looking at somebody like they need to be the one, it's setting yourself up for failure almost. You need to look at these interactions and encounters as just enough to, how do I enjoy this? How do I form a connection in a real way right now where you just want to get to the second date? Guys, we're so focused on the end goal that we forget how beautiful the journey of dating is. The first date, the second date, the third date, the getting to know each other, the feeling of something really meaningful happening in your relationship, when things naturally move to the next level, when you say something loving for the first time, when you really feel that somebody cares about you for the first time. This is dating, and you don't want to miss that. So you don't need to be in something casual, but just know that everything starts casual. You're not going to be serious with someone after two dates. I hope not. For anyone that I see do that, usually always ends up blowing up in their face when you try to move so fast. There's an example I always use when I compare, think about how you approach hiring someone and firing someone in a professional environment. You hire slow and you fire fast. Move slowly, get to know someone. Think of these analogies take your time and enjoy getting to know this person so that maybe down the road that they are someone worth getting serious about. Just because you like someone, just because you've started a conversation with someone, doesn't mean by any means that this person is worth your time to have a serious relationship with. Stop putting so much pressure on it. So again, Keisha, in your scenario, I would really have to say that you really need to change your mindset from here to here, that complete 180, to say it's not about casual. It's just about getting to know someone in a real way so that you can make the decision of if this person is someone that you actually want to date and someone that you want to get serious about. Not every single person is a candidate to get serious about. So slow it down a little bit. Enjoy dating a little bit. Take it day by day, date by date, would be the first thing that I would say to you. And it's probably being so focused on something having to get serious that you're missing out on many experiences, and maybe even missing out on that opportunity to get serious with someone because that's all you're focused on, and not focusing on actually getting to know someone in a relaxed and casual way. So that's going to be it for today. I'm so sorry about any questions that I did not get to. But thank you so much for your amazing questions. I feel bad, like I'm seeing like a few questions here that I didn't get to. But it's okay. There's more time. Again, time is not against us, guys. We really have to flip our mindset. Time is on our side. Take your time, get to know people, enjoy dating, get to know yourself, get to know others, be happy about it, take a step back, don't try to rush things. Thank you guys so much for joining tonight. Really timed this well onto my almost last sip. Cheers. I know we didn't get into the who has to pay on the first date, but I might prepare some questions and we will get into that. And we'll get into that soon. You guys, dating is supposed to be a fun and beautiful experience. It's 100% up to you to make that happen for yourself. And thank you for joining me. Love you. Enjoy your beautiful weekend. It's freezing here in Montreal. I know it was snowing in Toronto. I don't know what the weather is like everywhere else, but hopefully we see some warmer weather. It's Mother's Day tomorrow, so any moms over here, happy Mother's Day. And I will be back soon enough. Thank you again for joining me, and we will talk soon. Bye, guys. Cheers.